communication with a narcissist. Communication with a narcissist. How do you handle it? Right? It's like I mean, it's crazy. It's like a labyrinth, right? It's a lose-lose, it seems, a lot of the times. However, I put together some guidelines, and if you're in any of my other courses, you may have picked up on these. I've shared pieces with it about this on like on Instagram or different socials for content. But I wanted to break it all down for you guys so you have the ins and outs of communicating with a narcissist. Okay. It's always good to review this stuff, even if you know my basics. It's always really good to always review this stuff because I don't know, like the 10,000 reps thing. I don't know if you guys are into like I have done martial arts for a big huge chunk of my life, and in anything you want to get good at, it's 10,000 reps. So for this, you want this stuff to be like muscle memory. So the more you can hear it, the more you can surround yourself with it, the more you can practice it, the better it's going to get. Because if you're constantly, it's with this communication with the narcissist and everything that I try to teach you guys on. Because if you're constantly having to like refer back to your notes and then go, you know what I mean? It's really difficult to do. It's great. It's great to learn it and it's great to understand it. But the more you guys hear this stuff and put this into practice and repeat the actions, the better you are going to get. And that's not just with communicating with the narcissist. That's with every single thing that I teach you guys. I mean, you figure even lawyers, even brand new lawyers have been practicing a lot of the stuff for 3 years in law school. So the more you practice, I'm not saying you guys have to be like involved in your cases for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, God forbid. But my point is practice makes perfect. And in fact, perfect practice makes perfect. And what I mean by that is make sure you're getting your info from the right sources. Okay. So let's jump in. Communication with the narcissist. What I do is I break down communication with the narcissist into 5 or 4 different, yeah, I hold my hand up and say 5, 4 different categories to try to keep it simple for you guys. And they're basically the 4 different categories that we deal with when we're dealing with a narcissist. Okay. The first one is false allegations. The second is just basically harassing, negative, meaningless communication from them. The third, and you might roll your eyes at this one, but it's the truth, positive communication. We do get that from them. And a lot of the times it is once we have started a case and they start to talk to their lawyer about the things that they should be saying to you. Okay. So positive communication. And then the fourth and final one I like to say is a mixed bag, because we know, especially in the age of email, they are known for like throwing all 3 of those together in an email and then complaining to you or complaining to the court or the lawyers whenever you don't respond to the email or don't respond to absolutely everything. And it is very frustrating. So we're going to break all 4 of these down. I'm going to try to do it rather quickly so we leave tons of time for the live Q&A. So first off, false allegations. Now, when I talk about false allegations with a narcissist in your custody or divorce case, or some of you are in here for other cases too, which is completely cool. It works in those cases too. I mean false allegations outside of court. So it's not when you go into court and the other side is making false allegations about you. When that happens, you guys better be following all of the things that I'm teaching you and have your evidence ready that's relevant and persuasive based on the law to confront that. That's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about false allegations outside of court. So it's text message, email, parent-wise, our family wizard, voicemails, whatever your communication is with this person. What happens when they make false allegations to you? Now, a lot of times you hear people say, oh, you just ignore them. Well, yeah, in a perfect world, you would ignore them. The problem is when you're in a case with them and you either are in a divorce and you have like bills that need paid and property that needs um, appraised or whatever the case may be. Or even more importantly, when you're in a custody case with them and you have freaking kids with them, you can't just always just ignore them. And then finally, in a lot of these cases, the judges, for better or for worse, in my opinion, for worse, sometimes they will order the parties to communicate, right? Which, like, I don't want to stray off, but it's absolutely ridiculous how do I put this? Some judges do not use their freaking brains. Okay. And some of them are trapped back in like the 1950s, right? Where like everybody was like, leave it to Beaver, like perfect marriages, right? So that is why you have to know how to deal with them. Now, what do you do? If you've been listening to me for even like a couple months, you've probably heard me use the phrase, that's not true. That is literally what you respond to false allegations outside of court. That's not true. Now, people ask me, well, what if they say, yes, it is true? Or what if they say, yes, it is, I can prove it? Or I don't care what they say. I don't care if they say that they talk to the Pope and the Pope agrees with them. Like, I don't care what they say. It's, that's not true, period. No counterpunch, no, like, that's not true. And oh, by the way, you're a piece of crap. Like, nothing. That's not true, period. Okay. No counterpunch, no clapback. You don't get into an argument with them. If they say something stupid like, yes, it is true, fine. Ignore them. Ignore them. You're not trying to win an argument when you say, that's not true. In fact, you should never try to win an argument with the narcissist, because you never will, because they will always move the goalpost and the end zone and the way that you score. You're never going to win an argument with them, so don't try. The only reason why you say, that's not true is to get it on the record as a denial. Now, quite frankly, I don't think that's incredibly important, but I know a lot of you are like get worried about that they're going to make a false allegation and then you're going to go into court and then they're going to be like, I told them that they did and they didn't deny it, so it's true. And then the court's going to be like, yes, it's true. I really that's weak. However, because a lot of you guys, I get why you're afraid of that. You want to put something on the record. That's it. That's the only reason why you respond to false allegations with, that's not true. Okay. Period. Second, harassing and negative communication. Not they're not always false allegations. Sometimes they're just being them. They're sarcastic, smug, holier than thou, too good for the world, crap doesn't stink person. And they're spilling that on you to get under your skin. How do you respond in those situations? Write this down. You respond with absolutely nothing. You do not respond. You don't respond to any of it. You can screenshot it if you want, but you don't respond. One of the things that I teach to people that you can avoid responding, or if you are going to respond with, that's not true, or some of these other methods, it's the wait an hour rule. Okay. If you get a communication from them and you're in a bad place mentally and emotionally, we never want to respond when we're emotional to a narcissist. If you are, you wait an hour minimum, go for a walk, have a glass of wine, but only one glass of wine, because if you have 3 or 4, you might say something you're going to regret. You go to the gym, you go play with your kids, whatever it may be. You wait an hour until you can get in that frame of mind of stability and control till you can tactfully respond. In this case, not respond. Okay. So false allegations, that's not true, period. No clapback, no counterpunch, nothing. No argument winning. Number 2, harassing and negative communication. You totally ignore it and remember the wait an hour rule. For positive communication, you will get positive communication in a divorce or custody case from a narcissist, because invariably they're going to go talk to their lawyer, and their lawyer is going to tell them how to respond, and then they're going to start responding in the positive. So what do? You respond in the positive as well. I know that hurts to hear, but you take what they're saying as genuine and you respond in the positive for 3 or 4 reasons. First, number one, it's the right thing to do, right? It's the right thing to do for your kids. They're trying to be cordial. You be cordial back. I know some of you right now, you're probably cringing. You're probably like ready to cancel your membership, but like, whatever. That's not as important. The second one is because a lot of times, like, and I even have done some content on this, you can train these people. Like, you can train these people. And if you respond positively for something that they did that's positive towards you, sometimes if you pray hard enough, it's like positive reinforcement, because a lot of times they are like a dog, right? And the reason why they keep doing what they do to you is because they get your attention, and your attention is like the sausage for them. That's why they keep like getting under your skin and everything, because you're going to respond to them, because you're emotionally, there's attachment there, right? So in the theory of training them like a dog, if they're positive to you, you be positive back. Number 3, and this is probably the most important, it looks good for court. Because you know what they're going to do. If they talk to their lawyer and their lawyer told them to be positive to you, and then they go and they're positive to you, and then you're a total jerk back to them, you know they're going to be rolling into court like, Judge, I've been trying so hard. I'm nothing but nice to them, and look how they respond to me. They're going to do it. And you do not want to deal with that. Okay? And then finally, another reason, this is an add-on, that I just thought of, is that if that's why they're being nice is because their lawyer told them to be nice, it's not going to last. So you're going to be the one flipping the script and being nice and positive, not nice, but positive. And then it's going to completely change, because they're going to get frustrated. They're not going to want to have that normal communication, and it's going to stop. And then the final category is, that I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit here because I want to get to questions. The final category is the mixed bag. So when you get the email that's like all over the place, what do you do? The way that I teach it is I tell you to give them an STD, right? Not the STD that we are all thinking about. They might have tried to give you that, but the STD is, number 1, you have to be a sleuth. You have to, number 2, take your time. And number 3, discipline. You have to use discipline. So you have to be a sleuth, and you have to look through the email and put it into these 3 categories that we talked about. Put each piece into these 3 categories. You have to take your time doing it and figuring out how you respond based on these rules. And then finally, you have to use discipline and actually do it, because that is the toughest part of all of these rules, right? I could be preaching the gospel to you guys right now. And in fact, it's the same thing with the Bible, right? If you're Christian, I read the Bible every day. That doesn't mean if I don't exercise discipline and try to follow it, I'm not going to follow it, right? It's the same with this stuff. So you always have to exercise discipline. In fact, self-discipline is one of the keys to winning, whether it be communication outside of court, negotiation, in court. However, like, self-discipline is one of the absolute keys. So you can learn this stuff as much as you want, but if you don't actually put it into practice and start believing it, it's not going to be as beneficial. Okay. So that is what I wanted to talk about today on the lesson. And now I'm going to stop recording. I'll post this in the weekly lessons, and I'll put a little homework assignment in the homework section. So jump in there. And if you guys haven't been following through with that, try to do that, because it's always good to implement and iterate this stuff as you learn it and you continue to grow, and then it starts to become second nature. Then you get better at it, and your cases start to get a little bit of momentum, and then you start to overtake that power position in the case, which is always very important to do. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll get to the live Q&A.